This is our how-to guide for our barbell rows. Here we have our low row, our normal barbell row with the overhand grip. You're pulling toward your belly button. Here we have the low row with the underhand grip, pulling toward the belly button. So again, those elbows are tucked in nice and tight. Here is our elbows out variation. It's kind of more in line with the bench press. We're trying to get those elbows out and high. You're going to take a slightly wider grip, pulling up higher in the chest. And this is our high pull, or barbell high pull. It's almost like the initiation of a clean, but without the catch component. So your hands are out nice and wide. We generally use straps with that. For most rowing patterns, we're going to want to make sure we engage the lats and not the traps. So if you shrug your shoulders up toward your ears, those are your trap muscles. Now if you do the opposite, drive your shoulders down to your hips, or like kind of punch the floor, you'll find your lat muscles engage. So we want to try to avoid, we want to make sure that whenever we're doing our rowing movements that our lats are engaged, and we're not going to pull too far where the lats disengage and the traps take over. So again, drive those shoulders down while you're pulling to keep the lats engaged. Now in this example, we'll over pull and those traps will take over, and you can see how the shoulder kind of dumps forward. Sometimes the head will even dump forward. Boom, you can see how basically the lats turn off in this pattern, and the traps and neck and biceps end up taking over the movement pattern. So again, good pattern, driving those shoulders down while rowing. Only come up as far as you can while those lats stay engaged. And here's a couple more good patterns where our elbows are in different positions. So here's a view from the side of each of our rowing patterns. We're going to conventional deadlift the weight up, go down into a Romanian deadlift. And this is our overhand grip. Our elbows are in, we're pulling toward the belly button. Again, trying to drive those shoulders down to the hips. In this position, we're doing a reverse grip. Again, conventional deadlift up, go down to an RDL pattern, and try to keep that head back and try and prevent from dumping forward. Again, in this pattern, we're pulling toward the belly button again. Here is our barbell high pull. It's almost like the initiation of a clean, but we're not catching it in the rack position. So in slow motion, it's just a slight dip, almost like in an RDL pattern with the knees breaking a little bit. You're trying to keep the bar as close to your body as you can, and essentially jumping the weight up to about like where your nipple line is on your chest. So elbows drive up and back. You're using the legs to drive it up. You're going to absorb the weight on the way down for the eccentric. This movement pattern uses a little bit more traps, so you will probably feel a little bit more tender through the trap area the next day. And this is our barbell row with the elbows out. You're going to take a slightly wider grip. You can see that weight is a little bit more in front of your center of mass, and you're trying to drive those elbows almost even with the shoulders when you're coming up. A little bit more, kind of like you'll feel a little bit more through the rear delts in addition to the lats. Because that weight's in front of your center of mass, you'll most likely have to go a little bit lighter on this movement pattern. And we'll take a look at everything from the front this time. So again, this is the barbell row, or the low row, where you're pulling toward your belly button in an overhand grip. This next one is the reverse grip, that low row, again pulling toward your belly button, RDL pattern. You're holding that RDL pattern and driving those elbows back, pulling the shoulders down to the hip. This is the barbell high pull. Again, we're going to show this in slow-mo because it's a little bit easier. We'll dip down, push that butt back, almost like in an RDL pattern, before jumping that weight up. Again, you're going to be in a wider hand position, almost like a kind of a snatch position with the hands. I usually use a strap to avoid some grip failure. But again, we're trying to jump the weight up. Your heels might even come off the ground. Maybe your toes, you'll be up on your toes, driving those elbows back, and we're coming up around nipple line. And finally, here's our elbows out row. Again, this weight's going to be a little bit in front of your center of mass. You're probably going to need to pick a weight that's a little bit lighter. You're going to be in a slightly wider grip, closer to your bench grip. Elbows are driving out to the sides, a little bit more rear delt and lat work. For more information about our remote training or our custom online program design and coaching options, visit us at GameTimeStrength.com.